You're watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanova, and let's take a look at today's top stories. Iranian state media confirms Supreme Leader Khamenei's death. US President Donald Trump has warned Iran against launching retaliatory strikes on the United States or Israel. And UN Security Council convenes for an emergency session in the aftermath of the crisis in Iran. Iran has declared 40 days of national mourning and 7 days of public holidays after its leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's death on Saturday. Meanwhile, Secretary of Supreme National Security Council Ali Larijani announced that Provisional Leadership Council will be formed soon. Our Turaj Shivalilo has more from Tehran.
Iran's government announced observing 40 days of national mourning and a week of public holidays following killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei on Saturday by Israel-US air raids. Secretary of Supreme National Security Council Ali Larijani announced that Provisional Leadership Council will be formed soon in compliance with the Constitution. In a new development, Noor News website affiliated to the council confirmed on Sunday that 4 top-ranking military officials, including Commander of Revolutionary Guard General Mohammad Khakpour and Secretary of National Defense Council Admiral Ali Shamkhani, were killed in the attacks. Meantime, armed forces of Iran promised a strong retaliatory response and announced new round of ballistic missile raids on Israel as well as US bases and vessels in the region. Iran's army stressed in a statement, this terrible crime will not go unanswered. Also, Revolutionary Guards, in a series of statements, announced new waves of missile attacks against Israel on early Sunday and in Persian Gulf and Sea of Oman against US bases and vessels. The Revolutionary Guards also said that the attacks on Israel and US assets will resume on Sunday with more sophisticated weapons. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who met US nuclear negotiators in Geneva this week without reaching a breakthrough, has said that Iran will not halt its legitimate defense as long as the US and Israeli military aggression is not over. Turaj Shivalilo, reporting from downtown Tehran for A News.
For more than 3 decades, Ali Khamenei has shaped Iran's political system at home and abroad. From disputed elections and nationwide protests to nuclear negotiations and regional confrontations, his leadership has defined a critical era for the Islamic Republic, leaving Iran deeply divided over his legacy.
For more than 3 decades, Ali Khamenei has stood at the center of Iran's political system, shaping both domestic policy and regional strategy. He rose to prominence during the 1979 revolution and became president in 1981 after the assassination of Mohammad Ali Rajai. Serving 2 terms during the Iran-Iraq War, he navigated internal political rivalries, including differences with then Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi. In 1989, following the death of Ruhollah Khomeini, the Assembly of Experts appointed Khamenei as supreme leader. Constitutional amendments enabled his elevation despite his relatively lower clerical rank. As supreme leader, he holds ultimate authority over the armed forces, judiciary and key state institutions, consolidating power in a highly centralized system. His rule has faced major challenges. In 2009, disputed election results sparked mass protests. Khamenei backed the official outcome and supported a security crackdown, deepening political divisions. On foreign policy, he has maintained deep distrust toward the West while permitting negotiations when aligned with Iran's interests. This approach shaped the 2015 nuclear deal and his caution about US guarantees. After Washington withdrew from the agreement in 2018, Iran scaled back some commitments while continuing uranium enrichment. Regional tensions escalated in 2020 after the US killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani in Iraq. Khamenei ordered retaliation and led funeral prayers, turning the moment into a symbol of regional confrontation. In 2022, nationwide protests erupted after the death of Gina Mahsa Amini in morality police custody, drawing international criticism and highlighting domestic discontent. Under Khamenei, Iran has expanded its regional alliances across Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, often described as the axis of resistance. During the 12-day Iran-Israel confrontation in June 2025, he took a hardline stance, framing Iran's response as part of its broader resistance strategy, even as debate grew at home over the economic and diplomatic costs. Public opinion inside Iran is deeply divided. Supporters view Khamenei as the defender of the Islamic Republic and national sovereignty, while critics associate his long rule with economic pressure and strict political and social policies.
Following the United States and Israel's preemptive strike on Iran, the Middle Eastern country has since retaliated against Israel and United States military bases in the region. Here is a roundup of the strikes that took place on the first day.
The United States and Israel launched a military operation against Iran on Saturday, targeting Iranian missile systems and naval assets. The operation, codenamed Roaring Lion by Israel and Operation Epic Fury by the United States, was described by Israeli authorities as a preemptive strike aimed at neutralizing what they called imminent threats. Military sites were hit across the country, including naval facilities in Kanarak in southern Iran. Iranian state media reported that the compound of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in Tehran was struck. Iranian authorities later confirmed his death following the attack. State media also reported a strike on a girls' school in Minab, in the south of the country. Iranian officials said at least 108 people were killed in that incident. In response, Iran launched retaliatory strikes against Israel and US military bases in the region. Explosions were reported in Israel, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. In the UAE, Dubai International Airport and the Burj Al Arab Hotel sustained damage, with authorities confirming at least one fatality. Israel declared a state of emergency after multiple explosions were reported in the skies over northern and central areas, including around Tel Aviv and Haifa. Qatar's defense ministry said it intercepted successive waves of 65 ballistic missiles and 12 drones, though 2 ballistic missiles struck Al Udeid airbase and 1 drone hit an early warning radar installation. No fatalities were reported there. Jordan, which borders Israel, said its armed forces shot down 2 ballistic missiles that were heading toward its territory. Airlines suspended flights across parts of the Middle East on Saturday, including routes to and from Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The United States and Israel last exchanged direct attacks with Iran in June of last year, triggering a conflict that lasted 12 days.
US President Donald Trump has warned Iran against launching retaliatory strikes on the United States or Israel. Posting on Truth Social, President Donald Trump said Iran had signaled plans to strike very hard and warned that any attack would be met with a force that has never been seen before. His comments came after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps vowed to target US bases and Israel following the death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Despite calls from the international community for de-escalation, more strikes have hit the Iranian capital in the last few hours. Rockets have hit the northern and eastern parts of the capital with plumes of smoke rising above the skyline. Iran's airspace continues to be closed. So far, the Iranian Red Crescent has reported 201 deaths and 747 injuries from the attacks. Iranian ballistic missiles have struck central Tel Aviv, lighting up the night sky despite Israel's air defense systems. Maria Balde reports from Tel Aviv.
Iranian ballistic missiles hit central Tel Aviv amid an ongoing Iran-Israel conflict, lighting up the night sky with explosions despite Israeli air defense. At least one woman has been killed and multiple others injured as Israel enforces nationwide emergency measures and shelters fell under repeated sirens. Israeli media are celebrating the death of Ayatollah Khamenei and other figures in his government in an attack that was allegedly moved forward after Israeli intelligence confirmed that the Iranian leader was holding a meeting with his top officials. Iranian state television confirms that Ayatollah Khamenei's advisors and IRGC commander were also killed in Tehran. They also report on the particular danger posed by the missiles Iran is sending. They point out that they are Chinese-made and of great tonnage. Even if the Iron Dome intercepts them, they break apart in the sky and many fragments still end up getting through. Under the state of emergency, the streets of Israel remain empty of people.
The United Nations Security Council has convened an emergency session as military confrontation between the United States, Israel and Iran intensifies, raising fears of a broader regional conflict. Diplomatic efforts appear stalled. Accusations are mounting on all sides, and global powers are sharply divided over both the legality and the consequences of the strikes.
An emergency session of the United Nations Security Council exposed stark divisions as tensions between the United States, Israel, and Iran escalated sharply. Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that continued military action risks triggering a wider and uncontrollable regional conflict, urging an immediate ceasefire and a return to negotiations.
We are witnessing a grave threat to international peace and security. Military action carries the risk of igniting a chain of events that no one can control in the most volatile region of the world. Let me be clear, there is no viable alternative to the peaceful settlement of international disputes. Military action is expanding rapidly across the region, creating an increasingly volatile and unpredictable situation and heightening the risk of miscalculation. Preparations have been made for technical talks in Vienna next week, followed by a new round of political talks. I deeply regret that this opportunity of diplomacy has been squandered. The region and the world need a way out now. I call for de-escalation and an immediate cessation of hostilities. The alternative is a potential wider conflict with grave consequences for civilians and regional stability.
Washington and Tel Aviv defended their strikes as lawful and necessary to counter what they described as an existential nuclear threat.
The most fundamental duty of any sovereign government is the protection of its people. Operation Epic Fury is directed towards specific and strategic objectives: to dismantle missile capabilities that threaten allies, to degrade naval assets used to destabilize international waters, and to disrupt the machinery that arms proxy militias, and to ensure the Iranian regime never, ever can threaten the world with a nuclear weapon.
We all know when the real escalation began. It began when the Iranian regime armed proxies across the region, when it expanded missiles and drones, when it advanced its nuclear program in violation of all its commitments, and when it brutally slaughtered its own people.
Meanwhile, Tehran condemned the attacks as aggression and war crimes, accusing both of breaching the UN Charter.
In addition to the numerous civilian residential buildings, the aggressors have also targeted a school in the city of Minab, Hormozgan province, killing more than 100 children. The number of innocent civilians continues to rise. This is not only an act of aggression, it is a war crime and a crime against humanity. The United States and Israel war today is not merely a war against Iran. It is a war against the Charter of the United Nations, a war against international law, and a war against the international legal order upon which the United Nations and the Security Council have been built for over 8 decades.
With retaliatory attacks reported across the region and diplomacy faltering, the council session highlighted a fast-moving and volatile crisis, one carrying growing risks not only for the Middle East, but for global stability.
To analyze these developments and what comes next, I'm joined by Enrique Casero, a political analyst who speaks to us from Madrid, Spain. And also joining us is Artur Bloch, Executive Director-in-Chief of the Libero, who joins us from Beirut, Lebanon. So, Mr. Bloch and Enrique Casero, welcome to the program and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to be invited.
So, Enrique Casero, let's start with you. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been killed. What does Iran's constitutional process say about succession? And how much authority does a temporary leadership council actually wield?
The problem is not, for me, the problem right now is not what the Constitution says in a territory that has been, they're completely beheaded. Because we know about Khamenei, but we don't know who below on the rank to Khamenei were killed or completely disabled for government. The question here for me is what's going to happen with a country that only the tyranny of the Ayatollahs has been keeping together around a border and under a flag, which there are tribes, communities, and different ethnic groups that could start some sort of civil war or trying to split the country in different small nations or small regions. So the very big risk or the very threat of this operation is I don't think the United States are going to put a foot in Iran in order to keep the unity of the country around a flag or around a government. I don't think this is the same. We're not in the same case that we were in Venezuela, in which Donald Trump put up puppet government in front of the country, completely tied in order to deal and in order to accomplish whatever the orders from Washington were. This is, as we learned with Libya, Iraq, or Syria, this is this is a big trouble for what's going to happen next in terms to avoid a civil war.
Mr. Bloch, could internal power struggles emerge between the presidency, parliament, judiciary, and the security establishment during this interim period?
Well, what we're witnessing now is a popular uprising, attack from Israel and the United States to change the regime, the system. So I see this more as the end of the Iranian Revolution, meaning that it's completely irrelevant to speculate who's going to be the successor of Ali Khamenei. It's completely irrelevant. I think the whole system collapsed. It's collapsing, slowly imploding. And this is a great development for the region.
So, Mr. Casero, let's continue with you. How significant is the IRGC's retaliation in terms of scale and intent?
Right now, we, as much as I said that Ali Khamenei has been killed, and we don't know what's going on with the people of trust or the members of government. We can't also say what's going on with the military. We know for sure that during the last year, after different attacks, the military, the Iranian army has lost lots of generals and high command in different operation attacks and operative attacks. And right now, probably I don't think that without a leader and without a direction, the army is the military is gonna take command of anything, unless, and just this is, I think this is very important, unless they want to take the control and the power of the country, which can evolve in a certain new threatened situation for us regarding Iran as a rogue country again, or not leaving the situation, not leaving the condition of being a rogue country. We have to remember that the United States has deployed 2 carriers in the area, one the Gerald Ford and the other the Abraham Lincoln, and one is for the attack and the other is for the defense of Israel, which means they are having this mix, this combined doctrine of attack and defense. And if I were, that I'm not, but if I were the military, the high rank in the military, I will be very careful to try to retaliate, or even try to make a dissuasion of the situation against the United States and Israel, because as we saw during the last 24 hours, there is no problem in order to dismantle any other rank in the Iranian government.
So if Mr. Black has joined, I would like to ask this question to him. What risks do the reported strikes across the Gulf pose to civilian infrastructure, aviation, and maritime security?
Hi.
Mr. Black.
Well, it needs to be seen, remains to be seen. My children are home in Dubai. They have been hearing but the only thing I can now is that it escalate further. As already said, we were involved. I don't think it's wise if I would be in the Iranian military or Revolutionary Guard to completely escalate it further, and then it's already a kamikaze suicide mission for them. So I think it's. I hope that it will calm down in the coming 48 hours, because my wife and I are stuck here in Beirut. It's a very uncomfortable situation, but I think it will take a few days more. But it also depends, of course, on Iran itself.
So, Mr. Casero, what role could regional mediators play now, and why has Oman often been pivotal in de-escalation efforts?
We've learned, I think, we've learned very deeply with Donald Trump and his negotiation style that there is no valid intermediation if Steve Witkoff or Jared Kushner are not on the table. We have to remember that both of them have been on Geneva for the last days, trying to negotiate with the Iranian government in order to make this, we can call it transition out from the nuclear development, but it's not a transition. It's completely abandoned the program, what the United States were requesting. And we know for sure that the same country, United States, is dealing with Russia and Ukraine separately in order to reach an agreement in the Ukraine war. But so if any other country, as Oman for this conflict, or Turkey for the Ukrainian war, want to be part of the negotiations, so want to intermediate in order to reach an agreement, okay, be my guest. I think it's going to be the thought in the mind of the President Trump. But for right now, as I said, as we learn what is the Trump's negotiation style, what we have to consider is there is no step further if there is no American on the table seated. So if Oman wants to take credit for whatever intermediation they want to do, okay, it's fine. But it doesn't mean that there is no needed or necessary linked in the negotiation in the negotiations if the United States are not seated on the table.
Mr. Casero, how might global energy markets react if attacks near major hubs continue? And what are the knock-on effects for Europe?
Oh, that's a very good question. It's a very good question because we've watching the stock trade during the last months that nothing happened, even if new attacks on Ukraine or new attacks on the Middle East were taking place. Right now, it's like the stock trade and the economy are living in a bubble, completely isolated of the political movements. So if there is no big rupture, there is no big break on the day-by-day basis of commerce, and China is keep on moving their ships, delivering any merchandise or any commercial deal in order to reach their ports and the harbors that their goods are going to be delivered. I think the economy is not going to be affected, but not because I think this is a risky scenario. This is a risky situation, but because, as I said, that it looks like the stock trade is just living in a bubble, completely isolated of what's going on outside.
So is there a realistic pathway to negotiations amid calls for Iran's military to stand down and civilians to rise up?
We have to remember that as far as we know, 30,000 people has been killed by their own government in Iran during the last 2 months, which means it's not an easy number to deal with, and mainly the most, mainly completely 100%, the repression forces were attached to the military or were the military itself. So that's what I said before. That's what I meant before when I was referring to the chances of a civil war, not only because of the different tribes that inhabit the country, inhabit Iran, but for those in the center, those are more what we remember as the Persian country are going to try to race against the authority, which means that I don't know, and it's a very tough question to answer. That what's going on with the civilians, with the people on the streets, are going to raise up or are going to be completely controlled by the military, and more to the point, are going to the United States do something in order to try to control the military? And it's not an easy question, because putting a soldier in the Iranian territory, that is going to become no other way war.
Enrique Casero, thank you very much for joining us from Madrid and for your insights during these fast-moving and consequential developments. We appreciate your time and expertise. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let's take a closer look at the key stories shaping the region. Efforts to move foreign nationals out of Iran are gathering pace as the latest regional escalation continues. Azerbaijan's southern border has emerged as a vital transit point, facilitating the safe passage of diplomats and civilians from several countries. Gulcin Khojalyeva has the latest from the border.
Evacuation movements are underway following the latest military escalation involving Israel, the United States, and Iran. The Astara crossing on the Iran-Azerbaijan border is currently serving as a key land transit route for foreign nationals leaving Iranian territory. The officials report that several foreign citizens have already crossed through this checkpoint, including 18 diplomatic personnel from Saudi Arabia, 3 diplomatic personnel from Qatar, 1 Italian national, 5 citizens of Tajikistan, 3 citizens of Bangladesh, and 1 citizen of Pakistan. Authorities confirm that security and logistical arrangements are in place to manage the flow of people safely. allowing foreign nationals to continue their journeys without delay.
We arrived in Dushanbe on the 4th day for treatment. On the 6th day, we were scheduled to see the doctor, but we could hear gunfire and explosions just 10 kilometers away. We were on the 8th floor and could clearly see the flashes from the rockets. On the final day, when we tried to visit the doctor, no one was there. We had to contact our embassy, and they informed us that we could safely evacuate through the territory of the Republic of Azerbaijan.
This crossing has previously played a critical humanitarian role, including during the last year's 12-day war between Israel and Iran, when hundreds of foreign nationals were evacuated through Astara. Movements is ongoing and the situation at the border is being closely monitored. Updates will continue as more arrivals are processed. This is Gulcha Khojalayeva with Nijat Kasimov for A News.
More than 300 people have reportedly been killed following deadly border clashes between Pakistan and Afghanistan. This comes as Islamabad accuses Kabul of sheltering TTP militants, a claim Afghanistan denies.
Border clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan persist, intensifying tensions along their shared frontier. Pakistani authorities say at least 331 people have been killed and more than 500 others injured in cross-border fighting since Thursday. Residents in the Torkham border area, where the violence first erupted, fled amid heavy shelling and gunfire.
We live in Torkham. We have been there for about 15 years. For the past few days, there has been gunfire going on, and the situation is bad. We came here on foot from Torkham and arrived here yesterday evening. There was bombing and gunfire going on. God protected us. We escaped from there in a hurry and came here on foot. We didn't have a car. It was just me and my elderly father, along with a few of our belongings.
Pakistani officials said their strikes targeted Taliban military installations and positions in Afghanistan, including in Kabul and Kandahar, marking one of the deepest incursions by Pakistan into its western neighbour in years. Islamabad accuses Afghanistan's Taliban authorities of sheltering Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan militants, whom it says are carrying out an insurgency inside Pakistan, an allegation the Taliban deny. Pakistan described its actions as a response to cross-border attacks, while Kabul condemned them as a violation of its sovereignty. Afghan officials said they remain open to dialogue, but warned that any escalation into a broader conflict would have serious consequences. The fighting has heightened fears of a prolonged conflict along the rugged 2,600-kilometre border.
Kyrgyzstan and the European Union have agreed to develop a plan to remove Kyrgyz banks from sanctions list. A major step after several institutions were hit with restrictions for alleged sanctions evasion activities. Our correspondent Sevil Rajapova reports.
Kyrgyzstan is now working with the European Union on a roadmap to address sanctions that have affected parts of its banking sector. The move comes after the European Union added two Kyrgyz banks, Tolubai Bank and Eurasian Savings Bank, to its Russia-related sanctions list in October 2025. The decision followed talks between Deputy Prime Minister Daniyar Mangildiev and European Union sanctions envoy David O'Sullivan. The European Union's 19th sanctions package banned those institutions from conducting transactions with European counterparties and effectively cut them off from accessing key international financial channels, including correspondent banking services. These measures have complicated cross-border trade and remittances and are based on concerns that certain financial operations might have been used to circumvent sanctions imposed on Russia by the European Union and its partners. In addition to Tolubai and Eurasian Savings Bank, other Kyrgyz financial entities such as Karamat Bank and Capital Bank of Central Asia have faced sanctions from the United States and the United Kingdom earlier in 2025, linked to similar concerns. Under the new cooperation, Kyrgyz and European Union officials plan to enhance transparency, strengthen risk management systems, and establish clear criteria that could eventually lead to the phased removal of restrictions. The European envoy emphasized that the sanctions are intended to prevent their evasion, not to isolate Kyrgyzstan, and that constructive dialogue could help facilitate adjustments where warranted. Lifting sanctions could help restore international banking links and ease pressure on Kyrgyz businesses and remittances. It is Sevil Rajab reporting from Tashkent, Uzbekistan, A News.
This concludes our news update for the hour. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned to A News for more updates.